Yes.
Boom. Are we live? We're live. What's going on, Mr. Matt?
What's up, Jesse? How are you, man?
Oh, man. I'm having fun because, I've been scheming of how to get even with you after you had me on your show and posted comments from or a request for questions from the Omniverse. So, folks, if this is y'all's first time catching us, this is the OG Spotlight. I'm Jesse, and I'm here with my buddy, the Himalayan hoss, Mr. Matt Graves. And we're going to be celebrating him because he's an OG. Like the idea around OG Spotlight is to highlight the people that are doing amazing things to leave this world better than they found it. And Matt, I know you got your newsletter, you got a lot of stuff. You just jumped into this social media space like with both feet. And I got, we got both big feet, and I want to celebrate you, man. So folks out there in the Omniverse, let us know in the comments. We don't know if you're there unless you make a comment, so we can't recognize you and love on you. But let us know where you're at. Say hello, and let's give Mr. Matt a hard time. How you doing, Mr. Matt?
Pretty good, man. I woke up this morning, looked at my phone, and didn't realize I was going to dive headfirst into a Photoshop battle. So here we are.
Man, so let's get some background on that. When you had me on your show, you took a snapshot of my face and put it over the Dos Equis guy, right?
Right.
So, like, how did you come up with that idea?
Oh man, I screwed up.
Uh-oh.
Never mind. I had another background with that face on it, and I thought I should have. It won't let me do it right now. I was gonna surprise you.
You had it ready to go, huh?
No, I had it all prepped, and I execution fell. No, the idea behind that was like every time I talk to you, I don't know what the hell you're doing. You're always doing this, you're doing that, and like you're like the most interesting construction man on LinkedIn. And so I was thinking, tied that to the most interesting man alive, Dos Equis guy. And a thing popped in my head, because they have all those little trailers and stuff for them. And I was like, I think the title said, Bob the Builder watches Saturday morning Jesse cartoons.
That's right. That was awesome, man. So folks, if you don't go to my LinkedIn, and I've got a picture of Matt. His face is laying on a Bigfoot out there. Look at that. We got Mr. Sean Smith. What's going on, Sean? Appreciate. And Sean is like super supportive. He's coming in from Savannah, Texas. Appreciate you, my man. And so before we get going, there was a question that Mr. Adam Stark posed. So Adam said, how does Matt survive the summer? And like, this is all around this Yeti idea, right? So your contribution, or one of the many contributions you have to the industry, is your newsletter, and your brand is Construction Yeti. Can you tell us a little bit about that? And we're going to keep digging into it.
Yeah. So I got the nickname Yeti. So let me take a step back. I played rugby in college at A&M, at Texas A&M, and I spent a season over in New Zealand playing rugby. And I thought it would be a good idea to grow a mullet. And it was in 2009, before mullets were cool again. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And so I kind of had shaggy hair. And so we stopped in Australia on the way to New Zealand and hung out with a buddy we had over there. And he cut into a mullet for me. And I showed up, and one of the team managers nicknamed me Yeti because I had a mullet. And of course, I was with my buddy, and we came back, and he brought it back to the States, and it's stuck ever since. So then, and fast forward into so that's kind of been my rugby nickname as I played men's ball and after that. So then I started this blog like 3 years ago, and for some reason, Construction Yeti popped in my head, and that became the name of the blog. And then it's kind of stuck with me ever since.
So it's constructionyeti.com or substack.com, correct?
Yeah. So the blog's still out there. I haven't posted on it in a while, but it's constructionyeti.com. And then when I started the newsletter through Substack, they give you your own name. So it became constructionyeti.substack.com.
Okay.
And so that's where the podcast lives. That's where the newsletter lives, all through that.
And that's where we want everybody to go, right? All the folks out there in the Omniverse, go to constructionyeti.substack.com.
Yep.
Sign up for the newsletter because there's tons of value. And that takes us back to the question, right? Adam asked, how does Matt survive the summer? And Adam, I actually have real life video of what Matt does to survive the summer, like to get the all the shag and stuff off so that he can have some breathing room. And so here we go. Here's a little video of that. Let's see. How do I? Yeah, I don't know. Can anybody see? Y'all let me know in the comments. Can y'all see that? Because it's pretty revealing there. He got busted shaving his legs trying to stay warm.
It's hot in Texas, man. What are you supposed to do?
Uh-oh, we got some comments here. So we got Buddy. Oh, man. Okay, folks. So this kind of happens from time to time. If you're having a hard time on LinkedIn, you might be able to hear me and see like the letters on the bottom. We're also live streaming on YouTube, on Twitter, and on Facebook. So if you want to go and find us there, we're all over the place. Buddy says, I saw it. That was funny. And Kyle says, we were seeing it, unfortunately. So that's the answer to Mr. Matt's question of how does Adam's question of how does Matt survive the summer? And so hopefully we won't have to put any more of that video up, Matt. What do you think about that video selection?
That guy on TikTok's awesome. He's got a whole, I don't even know who he is, but he's got a whole series of Yeti. It's like Sasquatch TikTok or something. And that dude's hilarious.
Yeah. So we also had another question where I was betrayed. She went over to your post and asked you about the value of having a newsletter. Would you mind, like, why did you pick the newsletter? And what did you expect it to do? And what's it actually doing now?
Well, the newsletter I mentioned a minute ago, I started a blog in like 2020. And what I realized was I'm always Googling something. And there's not like a lot of real good kind of construction management. Dang it.
Bradley's cool, man. Sorry.
There's not a lot of good construction content on the internet. And most of it's like from some website that's selling their SaaS product, right? And then they have somebody who doesn't know anything about construction go write an article, and it's real generic and it's not that very good. So I had the idea I was going to create a blog and really kind of share my experiences, share my stuff, and try to play the SEO search game and that sort of stuff, and try to get on Google and, maybe do some affiliate links for, some products I use on Amazon, and then hopefully it'd grow real big and I could advertise on it and make $1 million.
Yes.
Well, I started in January of 2020, and then COVID hit like a few months later, and I had about 10 or 12 articles up on it. And then I was working at a community college, and they sent everybody home from the community college. So we basically went into overdrive during COVID. And so I got too busy and kind of set it to the side. Fast forward, I had some ads on there and stuff like that. And I was making like $100 a month just in like some ads, just from traffic that was reoccurring on it. I was like, maybe there's something here. There seems to be a lot of enough traffic coming to it, even a couple of years later. So then I saw a few people doing newsletters, and I was like, I can do that. And it'll be more real time. It's one problem with like a blog or something is you write it, and then it takes forever for Google to find it and then archive it and test it and figure out if it's any good or not before you start getting traffic. And so the newsletter, it kind of started, my idea was like, well, I'll send it out monthly or weekly, and, I'll try to build a community around it. And hopefully people go into it in the comment section, and there can be some dialogue and communication. And I'll talk about whatever it's called construction curiosities. So I'll talk about whatever my curiosity is that week, kind of whatever I've learned, whatever I'm Googling, that sort of stuff. And then hopefully a conversation will happen. And so when I started it, I had a bunch of people sign up, super interested. And I was like, I even had some people like, hey, this is what I'm doing. Go leave a comment for me, in here. Let's get some dialogue going. I had somebody's like, yeah, I'm going to do it. First post went out, nothing. Second post went out, nothing. I was like, what the heck, guys? Y'all were supposed to be the one getting the conversation going. Yeah. So I've kind of had to pivot a little bit. But what I found was I basically write the newsletter on Substack. It'd go out, and I'll post about it on LinkedIn. And in the comments of the LinkedIn, they're like, hey, I love the article, or I love this. And so the community I was trying to build on the Substack platform kind of built on LinkedIn, really, is kind of what happened. And
So was
so
that like accidental the way
100%.
it sprouted in LinkedIn?
100%. I really started in LinkedIn because I created this newsletter and I was like, I got to market this thing. So how am I going to, I mean, I can go write a newsletter, and if I have no emails, then it's kind of useless, right?
Yeah.
So I started kind of marketing it and talking about it, started talking more about the industry, and sharing my kind of insights and my lessons learned and experiences. And I've had a whole bunch of construction technology folks sign up because I've poked that bear a couple times just with different jokes. And like, so some of them I've got to be pretty good buddies with some of them. But really the kind of answer your question of like, where's it became, it's really kind of built a community of sorts. It's kind of lives on, like, the content's going out via email, but the community's almost living on LinkedIn. But I've met a ton of people through there. It's been awesome. I really kind of met you through all this, and I've met Kyle Grandel, the guy who popped up a minute ago and unfortunately saw the Yeti legs. He's my co-host on the podcast we just started a couple weeks ago.
Yes.
So I met him through all this. Like, I've met just so many awesome people.
So the podcast, is it separate from the newsletter? Is the only way to access it through the newsletter? Like how do we get a hold of that?
So the idea is, as soon as I get 2 seconds, I got to get signed up for the Apple podcast and the Google podcast and the Spotify, and get the RSS feed going out. But right now it lives on the Substack platform. That's who I host it. So you can go on to Substack and you get the podcast through there.
Got it.
I publish the podcast each week on Saturday morning with the newsletter. So the newsletter goes out every Saturday morning. I've got it set up where the podcast basically goes live at the same time as that. And so it's one of the features within the newsletter. I've got like usually 4 or 5 bullet points in the newsletter. One of them could be like, when you came on, it was like I think I called it like one interview. It was with Jesse, and we talked about what you had going on. And then usually there's an article from around the industry, a quote that I find interesting that I try to make tie into whatever the topic is of that week. And then every week there's some stupid meme I find.
Or create
sometimes.
I think you should surface that video of you shaving your legs again, just for Kyle. Kyle wants it. He sent me a DM. He wants that video in the newsletter.
If I can figure out how to make it come up during our podcast recording, I'll do that for you.
All right. So folks out there in the Omniverse, any questions you got for Matt? I got a few in my back pocket. We already surfaced the first one. But you and I talked about this when you interviewed me. This, I guess, in my head, what do you see yourself as a creator?
6 months ago, I would have said no.
Yeah.
But as I've started doing this, I guess, yes, because just as I've started building this newsletter out and I've built this podcast out, it's been fun. It's kind of been a game sort of trying to grow subscription base and all that sort of stuff. And I've learned so much about marketing that I never even learned more than I even thought existed.
Yes.
You kind of, as you start digging into it, you start all these little things you can tweak and do this. And I didn't even know what copywriting meant, 6 months ago. I literally remember reading somebody on LinkedIn I started following, and they were a copywriter. I was like, what the heck is copywriting meant?
Yeah.
And I literally had to go Google that. And I was like, oh, I see. It's like advertisement writing, sort of.
Yes.
And so.
But it's a skill, huh?
It's a very difficult skill. And it's tricky to, there's a lot of psychology that goes into it. That's really what marketing is. It's been cool.
Yeah, it's easy to undervalue what folks that are in marketing undervalue what it is they do and the amount of knowledge and value that they bring to the table. And again, I remember like, Jesse, you got to get with marketing because we're getting ready for, and I'm like, man, I don't got time for that. They just want to take pictures. Like that was my narrow view of it. And after starting on my own stuff, I was like, oh my God, there's just a lot.
It's funny too, because as I do it, I'll have like the perfect LinkedIn post and this thing is going to go viral, or the perfect newsletter, right? I spent so much time on this newsletter. I have all the perfect GIFs involved and the meme, and it's all tied together, and it'll get like just a little bit of it'll get like 1 like, right?
Yep.
And then the perfect the perfect LinkedIn post, this thing is going to go viral, and like crickets, nothing happens. And like, I'll just have something stupid pop in my head while I'm eating lunch, and I just put it out real quick. Nothing goes viral. Like, the more I learn, the more I don't understand.
Yes, yes. So here, Mr. Benji, how you doing, sir? The dork says copywriting is king.
Benji's an awesome dude too. If
Yeah,
y'all don't
he
follow
is.
him, go follow him. He's got all these door fails. He was like one of the first people I connected with when I kind of started LinkedIn. He shared all kinds of tidbits for me. He's an awesome guy.
So let's talk about like the connection. I mean, so one, we talked about how you didn't see yourself as a creative. Now you're recognizing a creative streak coming out and the energy and excitement around this thing. You've talked about building a community or maybe discovering a community.
Mm-hmm.
Your newsletter, you've already broken the 500 subscriber mark. Is that correct?
Mm-hmm. We're just inching up on 600. Just under 600,
baby. So, folks, y'all got to sign up, like for real, for real. I'm signed up, and actually, Matt is my SEO coach. He's going to be schooling me on all that. So, watch out, it's coming. But you got to sign up for the newsletter. Now, we talked about on LinkedIn, and that's how you and I connected. I've connected with tons of people via LinkedIn. What advice do you have for folks? I mean, you've shared a stat and you shared it on the post that you made today about the number of active construction users compared to the number of accounts that are construction related.
Right. So David Haresh actually, I don't know where he got it. He got it through I think the LinkedIn advertising portion where you can filter. But basically what he said was there's 6.5 million construction people, whoever's classified as construction. So 6.5 million. And LinkedIn says there's 2,900 active users or contributors or active users, something like that. So we did the math, and it's like 0.00044% of the users are active, posting. And I don't know what the metric is to make it, it's once a week post, once a year post, once a week date. I don't know what the metric is, but it just goes to show that like there's nobody. It's you can get such organic growth so fast through it. Like if you're looking to you kind of grow your personal brand or grow something or create something, like LinkedIn, especially for an industry right now, the doors are wide open on it. And actually, the podcast that comes out tomorrow is with Shelly Peterson, and she's a personal branding guru.
Yeah.
She's promotingme.com. And she actually works with Kyle, built Kyle's website and his personal pages on it. It's awesome. And she came on and kind of shared her insights and stuff. And especially, we talked a little bit about construction is a strange-ish industry because it seems like, we're kind of behind the times in some things, right? There's not a lot of people posting online. People seem to be scared posting online. Companies, unless it's like a polished company picture or something like that, and we were talking about it and just a lot of it about, we're a real risk adverse industry because we have to be, right? And there's a lot of the industry can be afraid. You can take pictures and put them up on LinkedIn, and so you got a safety issue and these sort of things. So you got to be kind of real protective of it. And so she gave a lot of good tips on kind of how to navigate some of those waters, and it was a real cool podcast. So if anybody's wanting to start kind of growing a personal brand or something, that one's coming out tomorrow morning.
Boom. Well, look at that. You just got Buddy. Buddy said, I'm signing up. Buddy's awesome, man. Buddy is one of the voices on the Lean in Love audiobook that's going to be releasing soon. Love that. Have you met Buddy?
I haven't. We've kind of been, I've sort of met people through LinkedIn and kind of circling around, but no, I haven't really had a chance to really kind of connect with him.
Oh man, he's amazing. Awesome guy.
He might be 600. We were real close.
Yeah, come on, buddy. You got to be 600. That'll be super cool. So, that the statistic of, 0.00456, whatever percent of actually active users, I used to be in that number. Right. And it was only until maybe the last year or two that I got active. Like I was inactive. I was the larger percentage, and now I'm hyperactive. And I think, so for you, have you always leveraged LinkedIn or social media to get your message out? How did that happen? How comfortable was that when you started?
It was terrifying.
Terrifying. Why?
No, I mean, I have, I've had an account on like every platform, right? I got a Facebook and I haven't really used it since college. Like when I was in college, that's when Facebook was for college kids. You had to have a .edu account to get Facebook, right? Before the grandmas got on it. But I had a Facebook, I've had an Instagram, I've had a Twitter, I've had it all. And I mean, I'm just again in that small minority. I mean that 0.0044%, that's for LinkedIn specific, but it's probably similar on all the platforms of people that are consuming versus creating. So I was always in the, that very, in the majority of this, just to being a consumer, not the creator side. And so honestly, when I started the newsletter, I mean, I put out a LinkedIn post that just said, "Hey, I'm starting this thing next week. If you're interested, go subscribe." And that was probably one of the most scared I've ever been in my life when I hit send on that thing. And it was such a strange feeling of like, like, who am I? Like, why does anybody care what I have to say? It was a real bad imposter syndrome thing. And then I kind of just broke through that. And the more I've posted, like, I've got a little bit more feedback and I've kind of realized like, hey, I do, I've been doing this for a while. I kind of do have some insights and people do care what I have to say. And I got less scared of like saying something wrong or being wrong because I want to know when I'm wrong. And I'm always, my wife hates it because I'm always playing devil's advocate on stuff because I'm always kind of questioning things.
Yeah.
And so sometimes I'll put a post on there and like everybody jumps to say, no, it's this. And I'm like, oh, okay. And I don't really take offense to it because I learned something that day. And so
Yes.
I think if you attack it from that angle, I've learned, I mean, I was 6 months ago or 35 weeks ago, however long it is, over 6 months ago now, 7 or 8 months ago, I was absolutely terrified of it, of kind of putting my thoughts out there. And honestly, the Construction Yeti name, when I first put that blog out, I didn't have my name anywhere on it. It was kind of a pseudonym. That's why Construction Yeti was what it was, because I didn't have my name or nothing because I was, scared of what people might say.
Yeah. But so what I'm hearing, like, I guess my big takeaway is it's freaking terrifying. I was in the same boat, right? Like, oh man, like people are going to make fun, whatever, do it. And then rep after rep after rep, my confidence grew.
Mm-hmm.
And it was really a matter of like, okay, they didn't like that. That's okay. They don't have to like it.
Yeah.
But the feedback that they're giving me helps me improve.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And so like working through that, it is terrifying. I think it requires some level of courage to like just take the leap to do the damn thing.
Yeah.
Because it's rarely as bad as I expect it to be. And it's never as great as I want it to be. What do you think about? Does that kind of fit your parameters there?
Yeah, no, you're always afraid of like, everyone's going to jump on it. Or I guess if you're afraid of what people are going to say, it's never that bad, right?
Right.
I mean, I found too that the people, I'm going to preface this with saying I'm doing most of my marketing and promotion on LinkedIn, and LinkedIn's a much more professional site. Like you don't have all the trolls, right? If I was going to do this all on Facebook, you go on Facebook, right? And any post you see half the people are just trolls, just tearing people down and stuff like that. And so, but be doing it on LinkedIn, like I find that either people will support you or they don't care, right? They just keep scrolling.
Yeah.
And so I think if you're trying to break into doing something like that, I think LinkedIn's a good, I hate to say these, but it's almost good a safe space where like you're not going to get attacked off the mark. So
yes, I think that's good advice for folks. So I mean, I'm looking forward to. I mean, here's one thing that I think I see is there's a lot of us out, or I shouldn't say a lot. There's a group of us, and when I say us, I'm talking about like people with construction background that have some experience, have a message or an idea, and we're putting it out there on social media for people to see. And I feel like what's happening is more people see that and they say, oh, well, I could play here too. It's not like LinkedIn super rules, only your resume. And it's kind of getting a little more relaxed, relax and fostering communities. I mean, you've already said it, right? I've experienced the same thing with the No BS with Jen and Jess. I totally expected people to like, you just whatever imaginary nightmare I was creating. And the reality is they get to choose, and they can like keep scrolling. It's not that big a deal.
Yeah, and that's, I've had LinkedIn. I don't even know when I signed up, probably a decade ago or longer. But it was just a place you go put your resume. It was basically an online resume, right? And you'd update it every 3 or 4 years. When you got a new job, you go put your new job on there, and you forget your password, and then 4 years later, you go log in again. And that's kind of what it was. And maybe always there was content being created on it. I didn't realize it for probably until a couple of years ago, I guess. But yeah, so no, it's just been like that. And I think people are, it's not as silly as some of the Facebook stuff and all that sort of things, right? It is still professional, but I mean, you can put a video out of dressed as the Grinch stealing books, and like, I mean, and it gets good. You start building that community, and like my newsletter, like I try to make it fun. Like it's full of gifs and it's full of stupid memes, and just because I can't read another dry white paper, newsletter or textbook thing or anything like that anymore. So my mind thinks in like sports analogies and memes. So I try to share in that, and it resonates with people.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's the high value part of what you put out there is you give multiple versions of content, right? There's script, there's copyright, there's words,
right?
There's the GIF, there's a link to a video, there's trivia, there's these just different chunks where if I like to read, which I don't, like if it has too many words, I'm not going to read it. But video and audio, yeah, man, I'm gonna take that in, right? A little picture, yeah, I'm gonna take that in. And so I feel like it provides a nice menu for anybody to come in and get some value out of it. Mr. Bradley showing you some love, man. The thing I particularly look forward to in the newsletter is the article portion. It makes him curious about something he didn't necessarily consider as personally relevant beforehand. And so he has a question. Do your topics come simply from personal reflection, or the random, damn, that's interesting moments you get from your network? Ooh, great question.
Man, a little bit of both. Sometimes it's something like in my day job, right? Like I'm a construction manager by trade. And so something in my day job, like I'll learn something new at work. And then so it'll send me down a rabbit trail of YouTube videos or Googling it, right? And I'm like, man, if I didn't know that, probably a lot of other people didn't know that. So then I'll go find something on it and talk about it. Or again, I get feedback from people like, hey, what about this? And I'm like, hey, that's interesting. Let me go research it and write about it. So it's, I don't know, a little bit, there's no magic recipe for wherever it comes from. It's just whatever's going on in my head that week.
Yeah. Yeah. Awesome. But it's valuable. It's valuable. It's valuable. Value, education, and entertainment, right? Like I think for me, that's what I see happening on like all the socials. I got the TikTok, I got the Insta, the YouTube, like all the things. And it's like, we go there I go there for information. I go there for entertainment. I go there for distraction, and sometimes it's for different reasons. And I feel like your newsletter covers all of those things, especially with the memes. Then we got Mr. Pedro, my buddy Pedro Gonzalez from San Antonio, Texas, says, yo, coming in from Facebook land. What's up, Pedro? Love that guy. I met Pedro. He was an apprentice. He came into the trade as an apprentice. Now he's a responsible master plumber running his own business. Awesome. I love that. I totally love that.
That's awesome.
So we had another question from Mr. Lance Furuyama. He's like, what's your secret for hiding in plain sight all these years, Matt? And you talked about like your name was not associated with your the newsletter or the blog. Like how did you manage that, reconcile that, and then finally reveal to the world that you're a real thing?
I guess, a Yeti, they can only reveal themselves once every blue moon, I suppose. So I got caught one day, I guess, and here I am.
Oh yeah. Folks, if you missed the beginning, we're just going to give you, oh no, it's gone. Where is it? Where has it gone? I'll see if I can find it. Let's see. Nope, it's gone. Y'all got to go back to, like, if you came in late, you got to go back to the beginning of the thing. We have a picture of when Matt was first caught, like getting ready for the summer, Texas summer heat. Mr. James, I don't know if you're connected with Mr. James Alexander, safety professional. Says all engagement is good engagement. No, that's it's interesting because I have seen on certain certain posts with certain content, people get very contentious, right? Some of the lean stuff, the lean police come out and that's not what it means, and some of the safety stuff, right? And I wonder what that is. You got any thoughts on that?
I don't know. I think I try not to take myself too seriously on there. I mean, I am serious, right? Like I'm trying to share insights about the industry and those sort of stuff. But if somebody comes in and tells me I'm wrong, like I'm going to listen to them, right? I'm not going to try to get contentious with them, but also try to keep a sense of humor about stuff. Like I guess I'm not answering the question, but like for instance, I said earlier that like I've been poking the construction technology bear. One time I've connected with a few people, and I'm probably going to get roasted now after I've done this a few times. But I put one post on there that said, dear content companies, please write in plain English. No one knows what data science means. Like signed a dumb construction dude, or something stupid like that.
Yeah.
And I was actually kind of scared when I hit that because like I don't know what's about to happen. I got so much good feedback from like construction technology guys and ladies that like, yes, like I see it and we're trying our best to communicate better and that sort of stuff. And so I think just doing it kind of lighthearted. I mean, you can shine a light on an issue.
Yeah.
But like if I wasn't trying to offend them, I was trying to make a joke about it. And they luckily hopefully all took it as a joke. Yeah. But yeah, I think there's some topics that people do get really contentious about. I try to stay clear from that. And I only really talk about things I know, that I hope I know. So
right. Well, I think that speaks to the branding, the value of branding on social media, right? Because you've been very visible with the post that you put out, the newsletter, all the content that you have available for people to consume, and the tone and energy that is Matt is consistent, right? Like you and I met, we talked, I've seen your content, I've seen your pod, I've seen you interview people. Like that's Matt all the time. We have like almost a monthly call. And so when you post something, I'm not going to fill in the blank space, like where there's not letters, with my insecurities, because I understand Matt. I have a trust level with Matt because of the content, because of the visibility, the energy that you've put into sharing yourself or a part of yourself on social media. And I think that's something that could be valuable for other folks out there. Like, let us know who you are, share who you got, what you think with the world. And it may be a little clunky at first, but eventually people will get a sense of who you are. What are your thoughts on that?
Dude, that's actually, you just made me realize that, and as you're saying that, and actually that Dear Construction Technology post, like signed a dumb construction dude. One of the guys, I forget, I think it was AJ from N8. He posted on there and was like, "No, you're not a dumb construction guy." And he was like, almost making up for me. And I was like, "Dude, I'm just trying to be funny. Like I'm trying to, And he got it, and he messaged me, and then we've talked a couple of times, and like just me doing that and kind of showing that like I'm just trying to be funny and like trying to take a topic. And although I am talking about something, I'm trying to make it, not trying to be aggressive and like say, hey, all you idiots, like no one knows what you're talking about,
Right.
So by just being a little silly and not taking yourself too serious, I think people start realizing that that's kind of my tone and stuff.
Yep.
And then so it kind of gives me the ability to say almost anything, I guess.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's the thing. It's like a non-threatening thing about you.
Yeah.
And I'm sure whenever it's time to like get down, you'll get down, but those times are rare. So Mr. Bradley showing the love coming in from Vegas says the memes help me feel like less of a dork afterwards. It's a great presentation of weekly education. I think it counts as education because there is some like super, maybe not super, but very informative content. Like you give knowledge that's relative and applicable to the industry and to maybe to a segment of the industry, but from a broader perspective, it is a high value piece of content, or pieces, I should say.
Yeah, and some weeks I try to tie it all together, like where there's a theme, and so I try to have an article that goes with it and kind of build upon it. But then and try to find a meme that correlates to the theme, and then I spend 4 hours just scrolling through the internet trying to find a meme or something stupid, But like, anyway, I try to get them all. Yeah, I try to tie it all together, I guess.
Yeah. No, you do an excellent job with that. So we also got Mr. Vince Trevino. What's going on? Coming in from the Deuce Dime. Inspector. Well, he's like up there in inspection within the city here in San Antonio. Amazing guy. He says, good morning. Good morning, awesome. Vince. And then Bradley says, damn it, Jess, you stole my question. He was going to ask about, like, at your day job, are you the same Matt at your day job as you present in your content? And my guess is yes. And so maybe that's a question, like, do you have a day job? Do you work for a living? Because I get this question. You asked me the question. Like, what do you do? What are you? Like, I'm not sure yet. I'm a Yeti.
Not yet. You're a Yeti in training, but maybe next time.
Yes.
Yeah, no, I'm a construction manager. I work for an owner's rep company out of Texas. And so, yeah, I do have a day job. So this all kind of it's really whatever I'm thinking about learning kind of in my day job. I mean, I'm a construction manager, so that sort of stuff, just the lessons learned, the insights, and hopefully kind of as I've kind of came up through my career, I've realized that there's not a lot of training and there's not a lot of, let me take a step back. I've worked for a couple of real small contractors coming up, and that was the first company I worked for. I was like 1 of 5. And when you're like that, you just kind of get thrown into it, right? You just sink or swim type environment. And luckily, I was pretty good at figuring stuff out and Googling and all that sort of stuff. But I've also found that like a lot of people aren't just kind of good at figuring out. Like, I want to figure it out myself. I want to go Google it and learn and that sort of things. So the podcast we just started, it's called the CM Mentors Podcast. And me and Kyle kind of had that same realization that there needs to be a resource, especially for like the entry level people. Yes. To really kind of get them, hopefully we can be a resource, kind of help them navigate the waters, especially if they're with one of those companies that for whatever reason, maybe they don't have the time, the resources, the know-how to train their entry level people.
Yep.
Maybe they get hired fresh out of school and just thrown out there. And so we're trying to be a resource to help them. I did a lot of talking. I didn't answer Bradley's question. Yes, I do have a day job. And 2, I really try to be the same person no matter where you find me. Like, try not to take myself too seriously all the time. Obviously, there's times when you got to get down to business and be serious. But I found like, sitting in a meeting, even a contentious meeting, if you can crack a joke every now and then, it kind of lightens the mood and you start to kind of collaborate a little bit better.
Yeah, just like we're human, right? Like we all happen to be, well, you may be a Yeti, but the rest of us happen to be human. And why not just be more human? And sometimes we got to get rough, and that's okay. We got to be able to go there, I believe. So we got another question from Mr. Lance. Man, Lance was bringing them. He's the one who asked the Chewy question on your thing, right? Be careful with Lance.
Speaking of poking the bears, Lance is all over that.
Yeah, he is. He says, when does a Yeti find it appropriate to wear PPE?
Man, that's a tricky question. The insurance companies, they make you wear it when you get on the job site. So you got to be visible. Otherwise, it'd be no PPE, but you gotta make sure the insurance people are happy.
Yes. So I have one.
That's a joke, by the way. Always be safe.
Yes, always. So even though Yetis may have like a super hard head, you still got to have the P. You still got to be compliant, right?
Right.
Oh man, look, Aaron Gibson. I don't know if you're connected with Aaron, but you got to connect with Aaron. He's got like the mental health break thing. He said it took forever. He found a location to get it. He's coming in from Calgary, Alberta, Canada, baby, international. Awesome guy. You got to connect with him.
He's got a lot connected, but we haven't had a chance to chat. We need to do that.
Yeah, I got to interview him on the podcast, which was super awesome. So folks out there in the Omniverse, go ahead and shout out your favorite OG, that OG person in your life, in your workspace. that is putting in effort to leave this world better than they found it. And while y'all are sharing that, giving them shout outs for your peeps, I wanted to ask you, Matt. So you start at first, like you have the day job, you're the Yeti, you went to New Zealand, came back all Yetified, you had the
Beautiful
mullet.
mullet.
I gotta find pictures of you with the mullet. Like we folks out there, y'all, please, if you find a picture with Matt and his mullet, y'all gotta send it my way. That'll be all golden. Um, in the construction industry, you started your blog. Now you've got the newsletter. Your influence, because I consider you to be an influencer, continues to expand. Things are happening that you never expected with the newsletter, with LinkedIn, with this community. Where do you see it going? Like in your crazy wild Yeti dreams, where does this go?
Man, I mean, I've got a lot of maybe pie in the sky dreams of like this thing will grow into 1 million subscribers,
Yeah.
like something like that. Then, maybe put some like actual advertisements on it and stuff like that, and kind of make some maybe a decent side income or anything like that. Right now, I'm just trying to one step at a time kind of build it up and just kind of stay open minded to it. Like I never thought I was gonna when I started this. Well, I never thought a year ago. I never thought I would do a newsletter, and I started that. And then I never thought I was going to do a podcast. Well, here I am. And that kind of started with I started doing like guest Q&As where I didn't even want to be on camera myself, right? I just wanted to like, hey, let me send you like 5 written questions. You write 5 answers back, and I'll copy paste it into the newsletter, right? It'll be a written Q&A. And then one person said, I don't really have, because I sent them questions and I probably sent them like way too many questions. I said, just answer ones you want. And they're like, I don't really have time for all that. Can we just do like a short interview, like video? Like I can knock that, that's a 10-minute thing, right? Versus spending 5 hours trying to craft this answers.
Yes.
And I was like, I guess. So I turned on like Microsoft Teams and just basically recorded a thing and put it on YouTube. And then that snowballed. And then now I got a podcast with Kyle, and Kyle's awesome. So shout out to your favorite OGs. Like y'all gotta go follow Kyle Grandell, my co-host on the podcast. You need to get him on here. He's an awesome dude too. He's trying to really make some changes in the industry.
This guy right here, Mr. Kyle Grandell.
Yeah, we're gonna have to get the Yeti legs back up so you can see that again. But
just for Kyle.
Yeah, you got to follow him. He's an awesome dude. But just kind of staying open-minded to it all. Like I don't know where this is going. I really don't. Hopefully, it'll get 1 billion subscribers and I can make $10 billion and it'll be cool.
I'm looking forward to that. So we got Mr. Aaron says, shout out to the Mr. Carlos. Oh, you're talking about me, Santana. Thank you, Aaron. I appreciate that. I should have read it all before I pulled it up. He says, stellar to meet you. Bradley's giving a shout out. Chris Hadfield is about the youngest version of Bill Nye and Gene Kranz he can think of. And then my buddy Umu, man, so glad you're up here. This guy, he brings the love coming in from Canada. He says, as a content creator, how do you think about using generative AI? Can it be used to process controversial ideas better than human? What do you think there? Since you're like an expert, right?
Oh, definitely. I guess generative AI, that's something like Chat GPT, where they're putting stuff out. I haven't been able to crack it. I've played with it a lot. I haven't been able to crack the code on how to make it sound like me, because when I've tried to, and like, maybe this thing can just write it for me, right? And so I've just played with it, but it's super textbooky. And I mean, it's hard to have your own voice. And so I have played with it with just kind of idea generation of like, give me some ideas, and it'll give me like 100 ideas. I'm like, oh, that's a good one. That's a good one. And I can kind of go from there. There is one AI website I've played with it. I've been putting out like little Instagram reels and TikToks of little like 30-second, 45, 50-second snippets from the podcast. And so there's one website I'm gonna give a shout out to. It's video.ai, vidyo.ai. So basically I just upload or just put in the URL for the YouTube link, and it by magic goes and it'll pull out like 15 clips, and it automatically has the text on there, and it's got, you can do the framing and the background and all this sort of stuff, and you can kind of adjust it. And it's not perfect, it's not great, but like it saves a ton of time.
Oh God, yes. I need to get that link from you because that's a time saver, possibly. Um, yeah, I guess for me, I am extremely curious. I know that I trust that there's a whole lot of opportunity in terms of optimizing and automating stuff as a content creator. Um, in terms of processing controversial ideas, for me, it would probably help me because there are very few things that I have a hard stance that I will not budge on. I'm pretty like I am purposely open-minded because I want to learn. If I have a fault in my thinking, like for real, I need help. I used to believe in Santa Claus, right? Like that was a fact, and that's not the fact anymore. And so that's a goofy example, but there's been a lot of things that I was hard and fast believer that this is the way, this is the only freaking way. And because I had access to other ideas, I was able to adjust my thinking for the better, and it equipped me to serve people better. So when it comes to controversial ideas, I'm usually in a discovery phase about them. Now, because of that, AI could help me because if I frame the question or the directive appropriately, they will give me the top 10 things to piss people off or whatever it is, right?
Right.
Why this is right, why Procore is the best, or why PlanGrid's the best, or why technology sucks in construction. Like, I think it's perfectly designed to bring up one-sided, maybe even short-sighted perspectives on a particular thing.
That's a good idea. I wonder if you can like put whatever thought you have into it and ask it to spit out basically the other side's argument or something like that.
The devil's advocate part.
Yeah, I wonder if it could do that.
Oh, so Umut, see what you did? You just started. That's going to start stirring it up, and it's all your fault, my man. No, thank you for that question. So Matt, as we transition into closing, what did we miss? What did I fail to touch on?
I think you touched on way more than you should have.
I got a habit of doing that.
No, I think we're good, man. Just every Saturday morning, we got a newsletter and a podcast going out. If you're in the construction industry and want to learn more about the construction industry, hopefully you'll subscribe and give us a follow. The newsletter is free. The podcast is free. There is a premium feature we've put on there through the platform we use where if you want to be present in the podcast recordings, we do it a little bit differently. So we bring on a guest. It's me and Kyle. We bring on a guest, and we want to have a live audience. And then to really make sure you can get your question asked and you can even come up on the screen with us and join the conversation. And so you can subscribe. That's like $10 a month, or it's less if you do it annually. And then there's like a 2-week free trial going on right now. Anyway, on the Substack site. But anyway, that's kind of a premium feature if you want to join the conversation and really kind of accelerate your learning and be able to join and ask questions of the guest itself. But I mean, everything else is free. We want to give away as much as we can, right? So the newsletter is all free. The podcast obviously is free. As soon as I can get it up on the Apple and all the other distribution links, it'll be there. But right now, both the audio and the YouTube video. I mean, so you can go to Construction Yeti on YouTube and subscribe there. And you'll get all the videos, all the past ones. But I embed it in the newsletter every week. So if you don't want to go find and hunt and find, just go to the newsletter and everything will be right there. It'll all be linked.
Boom, bam. So there you go, folks. Y'all got to sign it, support them. Matt, you're doing an amazing thing I believe, for the industry, for the young professionals, for the folks that got a little bit of highlights in their hair, right? Like we need a voice. That content is largely lacking. And I think you're doing a fabulous job of providing some content and building a community. I mean, I'm grateful that you and I have connected because you've helped me switch my thinking and adjust in terms of the way I'm putting my content out. And it's just one of those, it's like reciprocal propulsion, right? As you grow, I grow. As I learn, you learn, and we keep supporting each other forward in that effort.
Well, you've done the same for me because, I mean, you've really helped me kind of break the perfectionist in myself. And then like, I think we talked about this a time or two, like, done is, what's the phrase? Done is better than perfect.
Yes.
Like if I can get it together and get it out there, if I can sit there for 2 weeks adjusting a YouTube video and adding this and adding that and editing out this one time I said this one word. And the hell with it, just hit send and go. I think people like the more real too. Anyway.
Yeah, I mean, you know, I'm messy. Like I've always been called Messy Jesse back when I was out in the field. But it's like, man, like for me, it's a simple filter. Am I proud of it? Does it meet my understanding of the request? And is it actionable? If it's yes to those, boom, put the bad boy out there, because that's how I'm going to learn. And you inspired my latest Monday morning hug, which was nobody sees perfection. And that's not to say perfect doesn't exist. But if I'm screwing around with something, chewing, polishing in my head forever, nobody's going to experience that nugget of value that I have. Yeah. Therefore, nobody sees perfection. When I put it out there, all of a sudden people are going to see it. They're going to interact with it. They're going to get something from it. And they'll likely help me say, like the last podcast I just put out is like, I had an audio problem because I had my mic spun around 180 degrees and didn't know it the whole freaking time. And I've got messages like, hey, Jess, what happened? Like, man, it was my stupid mic. I didn't pay attention. But that's how we do it. As a community, we help each other out, man. So any shout outs you want to give, Matt?
I mean, I've shout out Kyle. You know, there's been a whole bunch of people kind of supported on this, like Heather Langton. If y'all aren't following her, go follow her. She's been awesome. She's been one of the big supporters. Alexandra McMyler, she's been awesome. She's been a big supporter of mine. I know I'm missing people. Marty Schmidt, he's the president of our company. He's been a huge supporter ever since I started. We're recording a podcast with him next week.
Oh, nice.
He's coming on to kind of tell his career story and how he's basically created opportunities, right? I mean, yes. We work for somewhat a family-owned company, right? And he's worked all the way up to be president now in the company, and he's going to share kind of how he's created those opportunities whenever maybe they didn't exist, you know? So
got a little preview. Awesome, man. Well, folks, we're going to wrap it up. Appreciate y'all jumping on. I just want to remind you, if you came in like on the back end, you got to go to the beginning, because the video that Matt like forced me to play, if I didn't, he threatened to like jump off the call if I didn't play the video. It's at the very beginning. So go back and check that out and let us know what you think about it.
You don't have to lie to the good people, Jesse.
I love it. All right, y'all. We'll see y'all next time. Peace.
Thanks, Jesse.